So it's supposed to rain this afternoon, which I'm really hoping it does. But I figured before it does, I'd give you a little look around at some of the things. Yeah, this dirt is still got to be all dealt with. But Sid wanted a clothesline, so I fixed her up a clothesline so she can do that. We put in some lilac trees over here. That's her old sunflower from years ago, so that's still there. And this is, oh, that's right, we didn't plant that rose last night. But this is the garden. And, you know, a couple months ago, a month ago or so, this was just a bunch of dirt. So it's doing pretty good. And then I built this sort of deck. I didn't want it raised or anything else. So there's fabric underneath. And then this is ground contact pressure treated lumber. And then I bought this, you know, sun thing here, and unfortunately it's not the right size, so it wasn't really expensive. So we're getting a little bit larger one, and that also helps with cutting down the sun going in the afternoon. So this is all coming along really nice. Oh, this hummingbird feeder right here, Tyler made this for Sid for Mother's Day. Birthday? Mother's Day? Can't remember which. But so this is this whole little area, which will be very nice once it all grows in, you know, up against the stone wall that I made, and that type of thing. Then over here, I just got some gravel yesterday. This is going to be, I got to get a little bit more gravel for here, but we're going to take the camper and put the camper over here, because the septic's over there, water's over here. I can hook up the electric, and we can use this because it's not a big house. We can use this if we have, in the warmer months, excessive company. Sid and I can stay in the camper, we're used to it, no big deal. So that's what this is going to be for. One of these days is going to get good enough, and I'm going to get to go out and get some more kayaking in. I still got to do some work on the plow. I'm also going to put right over there a little gravel section so I can put the plow and the old construction trailer with all the stuff in it over on that end. So let's see. I just got done cutting the lawn this morning with my grandson, who is 5, who thinks cutting the lawn is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But, you know, you got to be 5 for that, I think. So out in here is where we put the garden in. It's a pretty good sized garden. It also goes around the corner. I'll show you that after. The peas are doing well. Let's see. I'll show you this. Peas are coming, and these are snap peas. Bizarrely enough, I don't understand, but the snow peas aren't farther along, but that's the way it goes. Beans, first crop of beans is doing well. In here, this whole row is beans, and then this is first crop of corn, which is a little bit slow, but it hasn't rained a whole lot, so not much we can do about that. These are some of the tomatoes, and I've already started, you know, when you grow tomatoes, there's little pieces like this. See this right down here? Oh yeah, let me see. Well, they're called suckers, and see, they grow out of the, see right there? You pull those out, because what that does is this just sucks energy from the plant, okay? And really, you don't want that. You want the energy of the plant to go into producing tomatoes, which these are getting ready to flower, so that's a good thing. But if you don't pull those suckers out, yeah, you get some great plants and it looks beautiful, but I don't know, to me, my object in growing these is to get tomatoes. not to make beautiful green plants. So everybody's coming along. All these little dots you see all through here, these are all various kinds of squashes. There's acorn, delicata, buttercup, butternut, pumpkins, there's cucumbers in here, and then we have a whole slew of other tomatoes that are being a little bit slow, but those are cherries and plum tomatoes for making sauce. So garden's doing well. Beans are, if we get a rain this afternoon, the beans will really start taking off. Then over here, I've got some lettuces in, there's some carrots up there. But this whole section, the bigger green things you see, are the potatoes. And the potatoes are doing really well. We've got fingerling potatoes there, mostly red Norlings here, and then a row of Yukon Golds over here. So they're all doing well. I've hilled them up already 3 times, and if you're not familiar with tomatoes, unless you've got really deep soil, hilling them up like this, even if you do, hilling them up like this makes it so you get a much better yield in potatoes, because it gives them a much better area to grow. They get as long as they're getting enough water, they'll stay dry. And these are just getting ready to blossom, so we should have some early, you know, nice little round red ones. This over here is all summer squash and zucchini, and there's more tomatoes, more squash, some cucumbers I put in over here. This is all sunflowers, more sunflowers, the sunflowers on the edges, and this is more corn over in here, and asparagus. You don't get anything much. I've got 2 rows of asparagus here. It should be enough for us. And you know, if you're wondering why I'm growing so many different, or so much, in vegetables, at one point, if you can't really see, but if you look at that farthest telephone pole, that's the road. So at one point, all of this field that you're seeing, there was no houses on it. All of this field at one time, everything here, which is 20 acres of field, was all vegetables. Now, not so much. So that's where we are. The lettuce is, this is iceberg lettuce in the making, hopefully in the making. And I've started to have a little problem with let's see if I can show you before he runs away. Can you see that little beetle? It's called a cucumber beetle. And the cucumber beetle will eat the leaves off these cucumbers, squashes, any of those plants. So I'm going to take a break and squish a couple. Okay, this is zucchini. There are things you can put. If the cucumber beetles get too bad, by the way, I'll probably get some pyrethrin, which is basically a formula made from chrysanthemums. I know, the flower. But it does a fairly good job on that. But those first zucchinis, they don't amount to anything anyway, but at least they're starting. And I think we have like 45 zucchini and summer squash plants. So, you know, again, we'll have more than enough for everybody around here. And then my thinking was that I like growing it, number one. Some of it we'll put aside, still can it, dilly beans, just stuff like that, and what we can freeze or whatever. And then whatever we have for excess can always go. There's plenty of people who could use food these days, so I'm not really worried about it, and I enjoy doing it. Also putting in another, this is the coffee room over here, where we do roasting. And so I said, you know, this would be a good idea to have, I've been parking here, but actually make it into a parking. So this way, if somebody comes, they could pull up into here. Not that there's not enough room over there, but this way, this will get all graveled over. And again, what you do with this fabric keeps it so that when you get the muddy seasons, the mud can't be pushed down or pushed up through it. And it makes, I mean, the whole driveway, I mean, we're probably up around 1,000 feet from the road, and the whole driveway is done with this road fabric. And then you just put your gravel on top of it, packs in, doesn't go anywhere, mud doesn't come up through, and you don't have to scrape it off. You just put it right on top of the grass, topsoil, that kind of thing. So this is yet to be done, but they had a little truck issue yesterday, so I still need a couple more loads to go. Yes, it's secret formula number 2. It's actually part of Sid's 30-day cake. It's I had one of these pieces this morning. I was like, well, 2 pieces of this, and I would have to. Oh, when you were straining it, don't get nervous.
Oh.
It was like, oh. So this fruit ferments for like a month.
Well, this is just creating the starter, so it's been. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay, so you put this fruit stuff in, and sugar or sugar, yeast.
Yeah.
It ferments. Stir it every day. Gets a little alcohol-y, to say the least.
And then you add some more peaches and some more maraschino cherries and stir it every single day. And then you drain it and divide the fruit into 1.5 cup portions and put it with stuff.
And it makes a cake.
A cake.
And it's not a good cake, because you can freeze this cake, like put it in the freezer, actually in the freezer, and you can go into the freezer anytime you want.
Much to my dismay.
Much to her dismay. And actually eat a piece of the cake, because it's not frozen solid like ice cream or anything. You can just cut a nice cool piece off and
But it's a commitment, because it's every single day for 30 days.
So where's the new one? If you've emptied number 1, where's... Oh, number 1's back here. I see. Oh, wait. Number 1's starting over again?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So that's number 1 starting over again. And that's number 2.
Got another week to go.
Okay. So Sid's going to bring these to the farmer's market next week. She's just starting that one. I think they'll be big sellers. But, you know, if they're not, we can always put them in the freezer.
Not a problem.
Just had a nice little surprise phone call. A lady who has bought coffee from me before at the farmer's market. I think this will be her 3rd time. She called. I didn't recognize the number. It's one of those things that, you know, now I got to start answering the phone as opposed to, I don't know that number. Because it could be somebody who's a customer and I have to answer. Well, anyway, I answered and she said, hi, I'd like to get, and we went through this, and she said, can I get 5 pounds of the Bolivian Fair Trade? And I said, yep. And 5 pounds of the Peru. And the Peru is a coffee it's a woman's cooperative and women farmers, and it's really good coffee. But I only can get it, or I only got it in a limited quantity. So I said, yeah, I could sell you 2 pounds. And she said, okay, that's fine. So she's going to come up later this afternoon towards evening and pick up 7 pounds of coffee. Not bad for a Sunday. And it's not that, it's not that much of a big deal. And it's going to be one of those things that if she's happy, she'll tell other people. And, it's all part of growing the business. So, coffee roasting this afternoon. Well, we're having a little weather, but it didn't actually come. It rained, but we didn't get even enough right now to take the dust off out in the garden. I got roasting done, and this is sort of more of a wholesale order. So because of the quantity, this is just one person, I'm going to give them a better price break than somebody who just buys one little bag. But it's all set to go, and I think they'll be fine, or I hope they'll be fine. It's a better price. The only problem that you can't use this coffee for 3 days minimum because I just got done roasting it. If you use it now, it won't be bad, but it's not going to have the same taste as it will in a week or so. And I don't know if the person's giving this out to other people or whether they drink a lot of coffee. Either way,